Hey, Andrew.
Jeremy, it's so nice to see you. Where have you been?
I have been all over the world and back in my mind in ChatGPT.
AI is amazing like that.
AI is just continuing to be intelligent, perhaps.
Artificially, though.
This is actually true. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Jeremy Osborne. He, him. What do I do at Gymnasium? I am
You are the director of
director of
learning.
learning, and you are.
Well, I'm Andrew Miller, and I am the director of directing.
Excellent. Well, we passed the first test. Welcome back, folks. This is live stream number, I think, 7,
Maybe?
where we've been investigating the world of ChatGPT and other artificially intelligent learning management,
Everything.
generative AI, all the things. And we're doing these because the truth is, typically we do courses, we do tutorials, and all of this stuff, this technology has been moving so quickly that we decided that we would just do this live, which means that although we have rehearsed some of the things you're about to see, at the same time, there's a lot of unpredictability. The last time we did this version of this live stream, ChatGPT and OpenAI's systems were, well, let's just say a little reticent to work. So hopefully that's not the case today, but just keep in mind that's kind of the way these are going.
Hey, Jeremy, let's
Yeah.
activate the audience and have them add a few things into the chat, like maybe I don't know, like, well, you're the director of learning, so you could probably word this better, but something like on a scale of 1 to 5, how much AIing do you do, or something like that, right? Like I think just get a
Yeah.
sense of how much engagement, how much involvement people have with AI tools. I'm
Yeah.
constantly amazed when I run into folks and they're like, well, I really haven't taken time to really look at it and the whole thing. And it's like, well, that's fair, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I see that we've gotten a couple responses, one from Maximus. So yeah, I mean, put in your current exposure to ChatGPT. Do you use it daily, weekly, monthly? And
Or maybe Gemini, if the company you work for insists on using that. So let's just open it up to,
yes.
like, let us know what you use, maybe.
Well, that actually leads me. I'm going to jump into right into ChatGPT, Andrew, because this lines up very well with I have a little pop quiz for you. I have not informed you of this. This is live. This is unrehearsed. So we're going to be working today with ChatGPT 4.0. And this is a organizational plan that Gymnasium happens to have. This is the latest version of OpenAI's ChatGPT. And question for you, okay?
All right. For me.
For you.
Okay.
I mean, people in the chat could jump in as well. I'm going to give you 3 options as to, and you might already know this, but just play along. What does the O in 4.0 stand for? Does it stand for Omni? Does it stand for Oops, I did it again? Or does it stand for Omega?
Ooh. Well, I would have to imagine that they would name it after Omega if it was the very last version that they were going to release before they were insolvent. So I'm going to go with, I don't know, there's a certain amount of grandstanding that goes on in the marketing of this. So I'm going to say Omni, like the bus.
I think it actually is Omega. I think I
Well, wouldn't
made
it
up
be cool
Omni.
if it was, oops, I did it again?
Well, that was what I was really hoping for, because the truth is we've been going through a few different versions. Again, I can access by clicking on this left-hand menu up top. You can see that GPT 3.5 is kind of the standard default vanilla non-paid version, I believe, although recently they've made some changes, right? So GPT-4 is the previous version, and actually, can you now access that for free?
So it's GT. GPT 4.0.
No, but I'm saying GPT-4. Is that I've kind of lost track of what is the default non-paid
Oh, well,
version.
now the default non-paid is going to be GPT 4.0.
Okay. Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. But if
Oh,
you're paid, you get
uh-huh.
access to additional functionality. So we're
Okay.
actually going to have to go back and redo like a whole lot of the things we did,
Okay.
right? Because like the custom GPTs now, non-paid accounts can access those, and it's in GPT 4.0. The only thing you can't do is you can't make your own custom GPT without a paid account.
Mhm.
But so, when we were doing our thing about custom GPTs and we teased this, said like these are amazing and you can have access to all of these only if you have a paid account. We have to go back on our words now and say
I
everybody
see.
gets access, which is kind of cool.
So yeah, that is kind of interesting. And at the same time, there's a slew of kind of enhancements and new features with 4.0. This really is not about that, this particular live stream. However, there are some implications. We will by default be covering some of those things. One interesting thing that you and I kind of discovered was you can see at the very top of the screen that there is this new section called memory, and in particular it says memory is off. And when I hover over this, it says ChatGPT won't remember anything you talk about in this conversation.
Hmm.
So this is a little unclear as of yet. We played around with some of this, and the idea is that all of these conversations, and you can see these in the left sidebar here. In previous versions, whenever I created a new chat, the memory of the conversation that took place in that chat kind of stayed inside of each one of these. If we're understanding this correctly, you now have, or ChatGPT now has the ability to reference some of the things you have done in the past and use them.
Yep, across the context of multiple chats. So
Yeah.
for better or for worse, and you can turn it off certainly. And there are ways that you can say like, what have you remembered about me?
Yep.
I think the idea was that along the lines of the custom instructions in ChatGPT, where you could say, "I only like concise answers." Always ask me questions. Whatever preconditions and conditions you want for how it's going to respond, you would put into into the custom instructions, and now it gleans those ideas from statements made in the course of a regular chat. Quite
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So for folks out there, again, if you do happen to have and be working with this, just one thing to kind of show you, if you'd like to turn that off or on, again, you can do it on top, but also if you go to settings, personalization, and then memory, this little toggle here will either turn it on. So now that memory will be consistent across chats, or off in the way it is here.
I
And
believe
if you want, yeah, go ahead.
Jeremy, I think you can also instruct, like start a new chat and have it be a temporary chat, which is like an incognito window, and so then
Mhm.
it's not relying on memory and it's not adding to what it's remembered.
And the last thing I mentioned here is that if you're curious to see what ChatGPT has been using or has remembered about you, then you can click Manage. You can see in my case, it really only has one thing, which is that I've been defining an organization with a team of 5, including a developer and members from marketing, design, production, administration. So at some point in the past, I was kind of defining an organization in my conversations, and ChatGPT 4.0 decided that, okay, this is a thing that I should use all the time whenever you reference, you know, us or our team or whatever. It's going to use that as a baseline. So just a couple little things to be aware of with these new versions, which I think came out just about a week or 10 days from this recording, something like that. But what we're going to be doing here is talking a little bit about transcribing images. That is, after all, the title of this live stream. And as I mentioned before, we did a partial version of this in the past, but we didn't really get to show you all of the things because of those network problems. So with no further ado, what I did want to do is, again, just show you some of the differences. We're going to go to ChatGPT 4. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to upload an image from a recipe book. And the reason we're going to be doing this is to show you the transcription features, or the OCR, the optical character recognition abilities, whenever you give ChatGPT an image that has some text. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, again, a little bit of new stuff to be aware of. In the new versions, you have the ability to link Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive, or you can go back and upload things from the computer. So having said that, we're going to go in, and again, I want to show you ChatGPT 4 first, and we're not going to actually give it any instructions. So again, ChatGPT 4, uploading an image, and then it's going to do something. So again, this was an image I just kind of took with my camera phone. I actually used the ChatGPT app at the time. Doesn't really matter how you do it. And in version 4, it says, hey, looks like you shared an image of a handwritten recipe for saffron bread. How can I assist you with this? Okay, let's compare. Let's go to ChatGPT 4.0. Oops, I did it again.
I'm sort of expecting a different recipe almost.
You think so? I don't know. Big money, big money. What does it do?
No, it's still saffron bread.
It's still saffron bread. But
is that good?
It's really good. If you like
Okay.
saffron. It's from a family friend, Margot. She made killer saffron bread. So here's the first difference. What it did was it assumed that we wanted the transcription for this, and it just did it. And in this case, that's kind of correct. That's exactly what we wanted to do.
Can we just take a second? So you and I look at some amazing stuff all the time. And this is just like one of those things that we really should stop and say, like, wait, what? Like, that's amazing. You know, the software that came with my scanner doesn't do as good a job transcribing from even like a typed or printed published piece of paper, never mind handwritten. And who wrote that?
This was my mom.
Okay,
my mom's
cool.
handwriting. Yeah. So kind of, again, not following any real standard, right? It was just kind of probably verbally transcribed from her friend Margot, and she was just writing it down. And what is also interesting too is, again, some of the details so we're not going to bore you with kind of walking through this. Suffice to say, this is 99% accurate in all iterations. We've tried this several times. It nails the details exceptionally well. I've done this again a few times and kind of looked, is it just a fluke? And like, no, like it nails it. So even in the cases where there are some of the handwriting, it might be a little tricky. So in the past, you could see this one T, that one might be a 2, right? Like, and in this case, it interpreted it as 1, which is correct.
I think we'd also seen misinterpreting a lowercase t and an uppercase T for teaspoon and tablespoon, and just because the T was written where it sort of extended beyond the top of it.
Yep.
So wait, Jeremy.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
So like for people who like to take notes, right? Like the, Moleskine, and you get into the whole sort of like pen obsession and whatever, and then my notebook is better than your notebook or whatever. Yep. What was your go-to notebook? Was it a Moleskine?
I do have to say I was a Moleskine fanboy.
Right. So at some point we realized, like, writing notes in that, it's like that's where notes go to die, because ultimately you do need to copy and paste them into an email and send them, or take them to that next level, which ultimately is going to be digital. And this means I can go back to writing my notes with a Moleskine in my Moleskine notebook, take a picture of it and have it transcribed, and it's turned into text automatically, like that easily.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. And we have kind of tested this with this example, the writing is fairly consistent. It's pretty good, fairly fairly neat. And so let's turn up the volume a little bit. And there's another recipe, which, oh boy, this one is.
See, that's what mine would look like, because when I'm cooking, it's a free-for-all.
So again, we are using these recipes here. This is an example, but to Andrew's point, like this could be anything. This could be notes that you write on a napkin when you're at a table and you get some sort of inspiration or brainstorm. And again, in this case, it's a slightly different handwriting. It's cursive. There's stains all over it. It's in the format is not in any standard recipe format. Oh, yeah. Okay.
It made a lot of sense out of that Jackson Pollock-like creation.
Yep. And again, shockingly good. Fantastic in the sense of, what's really interesting is not only did it transcribe it accurately. So again, peel corn, coarsely chop enough apples to measure 4 cups. So 4 cups, coarsely chopped apples. So it had interpreted it and it put it essentially in the same format as the previous one, which is kind of cool. So it really is doing 2 things here. It's not just doing a word for word transcription. It's actually trying to, I don't know, how would you describe it? It's kind of like formatting it.
I think, I changed the syntax so it reads clearly or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
so that's cool. I mean, come on, you're right. This is amazing. But,
we're going to just blow by like, oh, no big deal. That's not a big deal.
This really
is amazing.
This goes a long way, and we're going to be exploring some more uses of this shortly. So right after this demo, we're going to look at how you could do this with like a whiteboard image or some other kind of maybe more work-oriented examples. But before we do that, again, there's this ability for ChatGPT to take the content that you're doing and do something else with it. And so what could we do with that? Well, we could say, I don't know, scale the saffron recipe to make 4 loaves instead of 1. So it's thinking, it's going back and it's looking at all of these details and gives us a little heads up as to how it's doing it. To scale this, we're going to need to adjust the ingredients. Assuming the original recipe makes 1, we'll multiply everything by 4. Cool. Okay. Pretty good. What about, I don't know, convert this to grams? We haven't done this one before. This has just occurred to me.
Oh, because of all the conversations we've been having about the metric system.
Exactly. As you and I tend to do.
Yeah. Weird topics come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, here is one area we looked at this, and this, I do have to say, this is one area we start to drift into some areas here that I'm going to be honest, start to make me a little nervous with ChatGPT.
Because it knows the metric system?
Oh, the second that AI knows the metric system, we are doomed. No, it has more to do with my, I don't know, lack of faith sometimes with its ability to do calculations. My issue with my fear about this is something that we explored in a past live stream where we asked it to do some fairly simple calculations and it didn't always do it correctly. So
it's true. And we tried to figure out where and why it was making odd choices in its conversions and so forth. Yeah. So
I guess
I don't know. You do the math and test it, but then.
Well, I guess that defeats the point, right? So I guess this is still one area where, again, you'll see a lot of folks who will warn you. Just be a little careful. There's no easy way to test whether or not these are accurate without doing some testing. But just a caveat there that we have found in the past that ChatGPT's ability to do math and calculations sometimes, I don't know, if it's not 100%, and then
and maybe there was an edge case, because it seems like
yeah,
and obviously these things are changing all the time. So
yeah,
we should go back and give it another chance to try and impress us with its math skills with that
that's
same
true.
test.
Okay. I did like the fact that they also converted to Celsius, even though we didn't ask it to. It's kind of cool. Just assumes that we're one of those, metric loving.
Oh yeah, totally. And it'll tell us
countries.
how many kilometers an hour to drive to the store.
The last thing we're going to do with this one is, now that we've got these two recipes, one that has been scaled by 4, we're just going to say, give me a shopping list for both of these. And again, this is the sort of thing that ChatGPT tends to excel at. It is fairly good at giving you the sort of thing.
And you'll only know that it didn't do a good job when you're at the store.
True. or
once you get back and you realize
once you get back and you start
short
making these.
some salad oil. What's the salad oil? Oh, it's bread.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they used to call like Wesson, right? Remember Wesson?
Yeah, I think so. That was the mom from Brady Bunch, wasn't it?
I think you're right.
So-
the last thing, yeah, go ahead.
Well, apropos PDFs, we did get a question,
Yeah.
or a comment, question, I guess, in the chat, and it's asking us if we've played with PDFs and about sort of capturing information and transcribing from a PDF. And we
Yeah.
did actually experiment quite a bit with
Yep.
reading PDFs, and I think the difference between uploading an image, which is a raster sort of file. When you upload a PDF, ChatGPT tries to read the content of the PDF, and depending on how the PDF was constructed, it may run into problems with multiple layers or very complex layouts, or how the text was how the PDF itself was created. So we know that it's a known issue, or at least it had been. We haven't tested 4O's ability to read a PDF correctly. But what we've found is that if you have a PDF that it's not able to transcribe correctly, one thing you could do is try and export that PDF page as a flat PNG image and upload that instead, and it'll probably have better luck sort of isolating the textual content. Again, if it's a very complex layout, then it's not going to really understand what the structure of the document is, and so it can be tricky. The best practices that we've seen is that if you have PDFs then you're having a problem reading them in with ChatGPT, to save them as text-only files and then manipulate the content that way.
Yeah.
But while I was talking, you just made some PDFs.
Yeah, I just
like
made
that.
some PDFs. Yeah, I just did, and I was showing them on the screen while you were talking.
No,
and
that's totally cool.
And it did a fairly good job of just kind of a flat list of your shopping list. So I think it passes that test. Let's switch gears. So now what we want to do is we're going to leverage some of the concepts we just took at with something that might be a little more real world for business practice, which is we are creating a scenario in which we have been asked to brainstorm a series of ways that AI could be incorporated into thegymnasium.com. So our website, our online platform that features free online courses, including things on design system, web development, UX, and more. How was that?
That was good. And digital accessibility.
And digital accessibility.
And career skills.
I
guess that's the end more part.
We offer so much.
For free, actually.
for free. And is it online? I think it's online.
It's definitely and free.
So one of the things that we're doing here is we're kind of simulating a situation in which we got into a room, let's say the 5 of us on our team, depending on how you count, but yeah, 5. And we are going to come up with a list of ways that AI could be incorporated into our platform. And for demonstration purposes, what I'm doing here is we have a photo of a whiteboard, and there are 5 items on the whiteboard. Now, we are more imaginative than this. So we actually have a list of about 35 initiatives that we're going to be using in just a second. But for the purposes of this demo, and so it wouldn't slow things down, we have created a whiteboard example with 5 rows of initiatives, including things like virtual teaching assistant, AI course authoring, adaptive assessment generation. And we've done 3 different columns here, which again, this is fairly standard brainstorming business activity. So a column of the level of effort from low, medium to high, a column for user impact, again, low, medium, high, and finally, a column for business impact, low, medium, and high. So again, just before we get all ChatGPT, that might mean something like, okay, the virtual portfolio review, number 4. So in order to do that, it's a pretty high level of effort to implement that. However, it would have a fairly high user impact. So students would love to have a virtual portfolio review. And the business impact would also be high. So in other words, if we were able to offer that, people would be like, wow, that's pretty cool. However, again, this level of effort seems to be one of the sticklers. So same thing, we're going to upload that, and let's just try doing it without any prompting and see what happens.
And just to be clear, that's an actual whiteboard. We didn't create that with AI. It's real artisanal handwriting on an actual whiteboard.
And we should also point out that, again, for the purposes of the demo, we wanted to keep this fairly neat and clean. Thank you to Justin, who wrote this out for us. We have also tried, and you can see this in the previous live stream, much more messy and real world examples of whiteboards. And it does a very good job. Again, for demo purposes, we wanted to, mock this up a little bit more easily for you to read. But in any case, did an excellent job. It gives us a 5-row table. And it says, this table summarizes the various initiatives, their levels of effort, and the impacts they have on users and the business. Okay, cool. So now what? There's a lot we could do with this. We could go in a lot of directions. We're going to get to some insights in just a moment. But one thing I just want to point out is that this is a table. So what this means is for copying and pasting into other documents, this format works fairly well. And so again, this feels like maybe some of the more practical, like, I don't know, it's not as sexy as some of the other ChatGPT demos, but it's kind of worth pointing out that the architecture of this format allows you to do a number of kind of nice things. So for example, if you want to convert this to Markdown, again, this is an example we have used and shown in the past. And again, if you're not familiar with Markdown, it is kind of a simplified text format that is designed to almost be like an intermediary between text and HTML. So there's a syntax here that would allow us to copy this code. And we're going to jump into this, which is a website, markdownlivepreview.com. And what we're going to do here is paste the content that came directly from ChatGPT into this left-hand column. And what you're seeing here is actually a table that would be rendered in HTML. So you could then take that and put it into a web page. And again, I know that they all look fairly similar, but that's actually the point. It does a really good job of translating this table format from one media to the other.
And also, if you use tools like Notion or
Yeah.
Obsidian or any of those note database tools, you can put the raw markdown into it. If you somehow or other putting this into GitHub issues or a README file, you can use the markdown format itself.
Yep. So one more example here. We're going to now say, convert this to a file I could use in a spreadsheet. And I'm being intentionally vague here. This is, again, for the demo. I know what format I want this in, but does ChatGPT? Let's find out. This is called drama.
I know that it's so tense when it does that analyzing. I hope it works.
Well, in the past, it would just analyze, and then we'd never get a result.
Yeah, unknown error has occurred.
Which unfortunately, okay, phew, may have spoken too soon.
Hey, that's great.
So I've converted this information to a CSV file that you could use in a spreadsheet, and you could download that using the link below. So I'm not going to go through all that. It works. We've done this a few times, and that works great. One little piece too, and this was something that I learned from a previous live stream with one of our guests, whose name I'm completely spacing,
Dune.
even though, yeah, Dune, who showed us that there's a little, I don't even know what you call this, view analysis icon here. This is kind of for the advanced users. This shows you the guts of what's actually happening behind the scenes, which I don't understand any of this.
So it's the Python code, and
yeah,
that's what it uses for. So when you're doing stuff with tables, it uses its data analysis sort of process to look at that, and it uses Python, and it uses that package Panda, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw Panda. I saw Panda in there.
So
Oh, look, Brainstorm data now interactive. What's that?
Wow, cool.
That's new.
That is new. I'm always being surprised by this. Hey, that's cool.
Wow. So that just did it. Okay, folks. Yeah, this is why we live stream this. This is fascinating.
How did it grab the rest of it?
Well,
you
so
uploaded it.
Yeah, but there. Wow. Okay, so this is why we live stream, folks, because this wasn't happening like a day ago, I don't think. So what it did was when I uploaded I guess we could try again and just to see it in real time. When I uploaded, so this, I should explain what this is. So this CSV file, we mentioned before that we actually had 33 items on the whiteboard versus 5. And so this is a spreadsheet that we created to represent that. Again, for the sake of this demo. So it looks like now what happens is when you upload a CSV file, and then you send that message, it analyzes, again, very dramatically. And it flashed by real quickly. Oh, it didn't do it. Huh.
Well, but the interface widget up top is kind of interesting, the one that it added, right? You can download, you can view it full screen. So sort of inline spreadsheet viewer.
Yeah, and you can also download.
Can you click on the column headings and have it sort? Oh yeah, look at that, right?
Well,
will it sort? You just select.
It doesn't sort, but you can actually look here. You can see it. It identifies it.
Yeah. Cool.
Which is kind of interesting.
Oh, well, presumably you could click on the column and then say do something with that column, and it'll know that that's what you meant.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, so what that does is it's kind of fascinating too. One of the things we've learned through our experience is there are times when ChatGPT gets a little lazy. It's one way to approach it. In this case, it's showing us a preview of this file, which only has 5 rows, but we know that there are more. So this is a case where you could give this a prompt and just say, please show all the rows every time we submit a prompt. So the idea here being like, yeah, we know it's going to be harder, but please.
See, this is one of those things that would have been good for them to, for you to commit to memory. Then, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? Then it's like, remember that every time
good.
you're showing me stuff, I
Yeah.
want to see all of it. Don't give me shortcuts.
Don't shortcut. Cool. So this is what we wanted. Although it seems like, oh, this is something, again, we can show you a little demo here. It didn't add the column numbers.
Oh, row number.
Yeah. So let's ask it to do that. And let's see if it remembers. It's a little test. Just say, please add the row numbers without any other prompting. Let's see if it gives us the entire table.
Maybe you shouldn't say please.
I know, I can't. It's such a hard habit to break.
Yeah. Well, you were brought up right. So, you know, you do that.
It's true.
So,
weird.
So now, so what you have here, though, is I guess the way that the CSV was interpreted, that those numbers are assumed to be row numbers, but
yeah. And now it's going back to this interesting preview mode. And so there's 2 row numbers.
Yeah. Well, that spreadsheet viewer will always show the number of the row.
Right.
But now we've added a data cell that has that number in it.
Interesting. Okay, so what we want to do here is, actually, I guess we could go to this. So all of these initiatives, and again, you can imagine in the original brainstorm that we kind of just threw a lot of stuff onto the board. And once we started analyzing it, we realized, oh, you know what? It turns out that there are really 2 categories here that, you know, we didn't really think about when we were originally doing this. So there are initiatives that we could do that would affect the student directly. So if you're on the website and you're accessing the courses, so we could call those like student impact. But then there's also ways that we could use AI behind the scenes. So for example, for me, I might want some sort of writing buddy to help me, you know, script a course or something like that. And so we were just throwing all these things in, but it would be really helpful if we did something like this. Group this into 2 categories. One that benefits the internal team and one that benefits the end user. So now we're actually asking it to analyze and organize this brainstorm, which is going a little bit beyond, actually going much further beyond something that you could do in Excel, for example. And that's kind of one of the points that you and I talked a lot about, Andrew, is like, what is really this doing that something like an Excel master couldn't do by themselves?
Exactly. And also maybe even quicker. And in reality, a lot of these tools are being built into the spreadsheet tools as well. So there is something kind of nice about saying, typing, sort this by whatever category. And it's the same as clicking on the column header. But maybe you want it to sort on a number of criteria. Maybe you want to filter on a number of criteria, and you can just have it type that. In this case, it's actually doing an interpretation. It's making assumptions based on what it thinks we're saying here with AI course authoring and what it thinks we mean by that. and suggesting that it's going to be benefiting the administration. I don't like to think of myself as administration, because isn't it always like, it's like the fight against administration. Like, we're the workers, not administration, aren't we? We'll ask
Yeah.
ChatGPT later, but I guess the point is that it's like we're asking ChatGPT to do an interpretation of the data that's in these and assign a label as to.
Now,
Although I don't know what it did.
one thing I am noticing, so one of the reasons that it did a good job of grouping these is because we had a column that during the brainstorm or after the fact, we could say this initiative number 9 primarily benefits the administration. One thing it seems to have glitched this one. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
So that's a little wonky. Did it do it? Yeah, it did it once, twice.
See, this is why I'm going to stick to Excel for now.
4, 5,
I'm
6.
sorry.
So it did it for the internal team initiatives, which I wonder if should we just let's ask it to redo the.
Please.
I'm done with please. I'm done with please. It's the demo. Our reputations are on the line here.
I know.
Should I tell it that? No. All right.
Okay.
Let's see if it catches it.
I do feel like we should have like music or something.
We should. Okay. Oh, no. But this, I have to say that this new preview, I think on one hand is better, but it's also a little more.
It's a bit confusing as to what it is there for.
Yeah.
It also looks like you've added 2 columns with numbers.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Oh, right. I think this feature is going to need some.
Yeah.
Interesting how, again, when we were doing this, these are the fun things that we run into with live streams. Again, when we were doing this Friday, we didn't see this.
No,
we didn't see either of these interface changes.
It's true. It's true.
And this is actually new too. So again, these are prompts that ChatGPT is now.
Yeah, suggestions.
I'm very tempted to click on.
Oh, do it. Give in to the temptation, Jeremy. The one thing that we're trying to get across here is that if people need to feel comfortable, confident, and adventurous when it comes to exploring these tools and figure them out.
All right. We're going off script, folks. This is.
Because this was sort of one of the questions that we asked, right? Like, what do we do first? Because all those initiatives look pretty good. They just look like a lot of work, man.
Yep. So basically the prompt and the suggestion that I clicked on was how to prioritize these initiatives. And it gives us a whole bunch of blah, blah involving evaluating. Okay.
That looks like a lot of work too.
Oh boy. Can you just do this all for me? I guess they are doing things for us. So, okay. So assigning level of effort, user impact. Okay. All right. Rank them. Oh God, look at all this. They're writing a Python script to calculate the weighted scores. Oh man, there's a lot here. I guess according to this, the thing that we should be doing for the internal team is course authoring.
Well, that sounds great for you.
Shoot, I'm out, folks. Bye-bye.
But what about the brainstorm to business plan generator? That would be really good for me. But that gets a 3.6. I feel like we're watching like a a crooked gymnastics Olympics event, where it's like somebody didn't bribe the right judge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, can you
3.6.
yeah,
Oh,
can you convert these into, we should have an image. You could
yeah,
ask it to convert
exactly.
it into the placards, right, that they hold up. Okay, so wow, this was a lot. So are you happy that you made me click on the
I mean, like all of these things. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. Did this? This didn't. This is boring. It's a spreadsheet, But I think I guess bringing it back to if is it a practical sort of thing? Like maybe it is, right? But presumably you would know what sort of prioritization scheme you would want to try and apply. But if you didn't, you could say like, so how do we go about prioritizing this? Which is one of the questions that you asked, and it gave some strategies about
Yeah.
assigning weights, which is sort of what we had done with the level of effort. But I think there's so many dimensions to what a level of effort means.
Well, and it's worth saying too that our philosophy, by and large, for almost everything that we have seen and used ChatGPT for, is never to accept the kind of first example straight off the bat. Never do a copy and paste. Always look at it with a critical eye, and also really treat it as a collaborator. So for me, again, I mean, I was making fun of the fact that there was so much work that I had to do with this, or in terms of calculating the scores and initiatives. But the truth is, for someone like me who's very averse to maybe doing this sort of analytics, this would help me at least think about the problem and raise it for discussion with, my team and the people that we're collaborating with.
I think that that's a good approach. A lot of the tools that we've been experimenting with in the last few weeks about music generation, video generation, and image generation. I think the conclusion that we all sort of come to is this is fantastic for sketching out ideas. It's really fantastic for sketching.
Yeah.
For drafting a copy or something like that. But you do need to take it to that next level yourself.
Yeah. So just to take a step back again and remind viewers kind of what our context is. The context is, we threw all this stuff on a whiteboard, and these were brainstorm ideas from the 5 members of our team. And then we split them into student-facing initiatives. So in other words, ideas that we thought AI might benefit students. And then we also asked it to give us to group those into things that were internally helpful, so for our team. So now what I think would be interesting to do is almost an extension of this would be for those student-facing initiatives. So again, let's imagine that we've got like a conference call with our boss at the end of the day, and we really need to have some ideas that we can kind of crunch on before that. So we're just going to go straight to it. For the student-facing initiatives, give us 2 easy wins. We just want to know, what are the things that we should do? What are the 2 easy wins based on this huge list that we submitted to ChatGPT? And it's analyzing. We do need the music. It's like the
I
Price is
know,
Right music.
but I don't know what it would be, like Jeopardy or something.
That's always the easy. That's the easy one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe everyone does know that one. Oh, interesting. Unable to display visualization. Okay. All right. So it tried to do something and it decided that was too hard. So now it's going to look for initiatives marked with a level of effort of low or medium and a user impact marked as high. Okay, I would agree with that. I mean, that sounds like, especially the low. Oops. Appears there was an error due to a mismatch between the initiative names.
Oh yeah, you know how to fix that.
Let's ensure that we use the correct and okay.
Ah,
Well,
it's confused.
So what it decided was the two easy wins: virtual teaching assistant and virtual study buddy. These initiatives provide high user impact while requiring a manageable level of effort, making them effective choices for quick wins. Okay, well, I kind of feel like, that when we did this part, so this is part of the dilemma, right? With the linear aspect of remembering your chat. by clicking on that wild card, which I'm going to remind the audience, you urged me to do, this untested, crazy new feature. I feel like it's now using that. It's now
Yeah.
using these weighted scores as a way to try to decide what to do.
I just want to point out, though, that we've had conversations in the past about whether or not you're the likely person to gamble. You're not a gambling person, right? You don't
This
love
is true.
casinos, and yet
This
here
is
we
true.
are.
I know. So let's do this. So the idea here is, again, that we're analyzing this table and looking for things that we could use. Perhaps we need to give this more context. So one of the things that we want to point out here is that the only thing that ChatGPT has had to work with up to this point is this list, this spreadsheet up here. It doesn't really understand anything about our organization, doesn't really understand anything beyond what it can deduce from this. So perhaps we could, I don't know, give it some help and tell it a little bit, or maybe, I don't know, we'll just kind of do it. We'll say, this is, I'm just going to copy and paste kind of the objectives and the goals. And, maybe we could have done this at the beginning, but that wouldn't have been very much fun, wouldn't it?
I think this is the teachable moment.
This is the teachable moment. So what I've pasted in here is essentially the sort of context that is going to help, hopefully, ChatGPT make a little more sense of this, which is, what are the goals of your organization and this project? And even furthermore, like, can we split those down into different levels? So a short-term goal, that's to make sure our CEO knows we're employing AI in our platform. However, our long-term goal as an online learning platform is to increase student engagement, satisfaction. And let's say that we actually had a more precise objective. Let's say that we have identified that students who finish a course often feel a little unfocused or aimless, and maybe they would like some suggestions about what course to take next or what have you. So that's something we've identified outside of this brainstorming session. So we just threw it in here. So we want to encourage a student who's just finished a course to enroll in another course and continue learning. And then we also are putting in some context of, like, well, who are we? Like, we're just a small team. We've got 5 people: a developer, designer, marketer, instructional designer, actually 6, tech support, program director. So that gives ChatGPT some context. And then last but not least, we're defining who our stakeholder group is, in this case, our students. And furthermore, it's critical that we're meeting their educational needs and helping them to gain better employment opportunities. By the way, like, we do have some content. We have done some user research. So maybe this would help.
Let's gamble.
Will this help you refine your results? Let's find out.
I think it's going to say thanks.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. So
I'm
just scanning through this. It's basically saying, oh, sounds like.
For some reason, it seems to have interpreted what you said to make it sound like we're like weak and useless. It's just like we're a small team. We can't do anything. Like if we can't do it by typing it into ChatGPT, then it's not getting done.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, refined focus. I don't know. Sounds kind of judgy.
Yeah.
Bah.
Interesting. Wow.
This is terrible.
So, okay, so it has decided that creating an ethical and bias auditing tool for AI models is a good idea.
None of this is what I wanted to do. Jeremy, the whole idea of a brainstorm and capturing the notes is that people feel heard. I don't feel heard.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody wasted my time. I'm writing down all those things on the whiteboard. I'm going to use AI to figure out what we should do next. Next thing, nothing that I wanted is getting done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of thinking, I'm curious. I'm going to do a new chat because we've only got like 5 minutes left. Yeah, to me, I feel like we gambled and lost.
And lost. Yeah. I feel like I was just escorted out of the casino. I'm sorry, sir, but your credit's no good.
Yeah, I feel like by doing that kind of on the fly, like waiting thing.
Yeah. See?
So I'm choosing to kind of restart this and just
Just-
put that file and say something like, well, first of all, show all the rows. Which obviously I did not remember, but you're right. Maybe I should put this in my memory.
Well, I mean, I just saved you some time, Like if you did that, you wouldn't have had to say it twice.
That's true.
But
It seems like it still has a problem reading that CSV. That could also have thrown things off. Who knows?
Yeah, it's true. It's
Garbage
true.
in, garbage out. So
Yeah,
okay.
There's something. So I want to mention that. So Ron Lamb has been commenting in the chat.
Yep.
So Ron, it's really nice to see you. Ron and I worked on a project a while back, fantastic project, where we spent a huge amount of time collecting information from various stakeholders in an organization. It was a solutions architecture workshop, and at the end of every day, we had to capture thousands, if not billions, of post-it notes that were ringing the walls, lining the walls of a conference room at the end of every day, and enter these things into spreadsheets for our analysis. I'm just thinking this would have made it kind of quick. But the specific punctuation that exists inside that are in the cells in the CSV may be causing some of that misalignment of what's a cell, what's
Maybe.
a row. So it could be that if there's a comma in there or something.
So I quickly kind of went in and just did, well, we were discussing that. I basically just said, I uploaded the entire brainstorm and I just said, what should we do next? It said there's a number of things you could do. You could prioritize them. You could create a visualization. You could I'll do all this stuff. And I just said, number one, just I had to prioritize it. Now at this point, we didn't fold in the internal versus external. So it just looked at these based on a score derived from user impact, business impact, and level of effort. And it said, number one, course suggestion chatbot. Number two, social media post generation. Number three, virtual onboarding assistant. So, and then I'm not going to read all 10, but so that's definitely a different set of results than what we did to begin with.
Although, so on Friday when we ran through this, those were the three initiatives that are recommended at the end of all of our various questions that we had, like, based on based on level of effort, based on business impact, etc. I
Yeah.
think those three were vying for the top three,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of consistency, it gives me a bit of confidence in terms of what how it's analyzing that CSV, the data, and what it's doing with it.
Yeah. So I would say, like, I'm just kind of looking at the time. We're at 3 p.m. and we do want to respect people's time. But I would just say, like, one of the things we'd probably do, and again, I'm just going to take advantage of maybe one more thing, and we can just talk about, summarize what we've learned today. But like, what would you do out of all, from this afterwards? And might say, if you had one of these and you were interested in exploring them further, so we'll just take that first one, the course suggestion chatbot. This might be a case where you leapfrog from that and you just ask, how would we approach item number 1? So in other words, okay, cool. These are the top 10 lists. Let's look at this first one, the course suggestion chatbot. How would we begin to approach the implementation of that? And what it's going to give us is, again, what I would call a collaborative tool, a way for you to wrap your head around some of the things that you would need to do, or at least think about or discuss with your team. So again, here's the objective: create a chatbot that can suggest courses to students based on their preferences, past courses, performance, and other relevant data. Okay, here are the requirements. Okay, you need some natural language processing, the integration with database. Okay, all this sounds pretty. How do you do that? So it's giving you like a blueprint to, again, I would say, have a discussion with your team, or a quick and easy way to give this a litmus test and be like, okay, does this sound about right? It does. So that would probably be recommended next steps. It seems like, if we were to summarize this, some of these
Can't
new
wait.
features.
We should use ChatGPT to summarize it.
Yeah, I mean, I think like some of this new feature that seems to have been implemented in the last 48 hours, these
Yeah.
prompts, these prompts,
Prompts.
these prompt prompts, I suspect, are part of the dilemma. Or yeah.
Hey, well, so we should wrap up because people are late for the next meeting already, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Or late for lunch or something. So thanks to everybody who watched. Really thrilled to see that we showed you something that was remarkable, because we were hoping that it wasn't going to be the case where people would see the transcription tricks and just be like, I can do that with this app, that app, whatever.
But I think it was valuable. I mean, I think, again, this is why we do this. If we were to have written a course where we were trying to walk people through how to analyze a brainstorm, like, we couldn't have done that and had it been relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we do the live streams, and it's
I can't wait to get started on that chatbot, man. Low effort. It looks and seems so easy.
Yeah. Well, we got the steps.
Cool.
And with that said, we will return at some point in the future to explore
definitely
this dark and dangerous world.
And amusing and entertaining and somewhat quirky, but
at least
always changing.
And with that, we bid you adieu. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you to all.
And we hope to see you again down the road.